All right, y'all. So Halle Berry posted this a day before Resurrection Day. Am I wrong for not wanting to call it Easter? Like, I just feel like I feel like now children don't even know what quote unquote Easter is really about. They think it's about bunnies and getting candy, going on egg hunts and stuff like that. Look, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Kids are going to be kids. But can we at least tell them what this is about in the first place? That Jesus died and rose from the dead and now is offering forgiveness of sins. So I don't even really want to call it like Easter anymore. I'm just calling it Resurrection Day. But am I wrong for that? Am I looking too far into it? I don't know. Halle Berry sips from a wine glass while nude on her balcony. I do what I want to do. Now you might be wondering, why the heck are you talking about this story? What does this have to do about the Bible or God? How is this going to help us, Nick? Well, let me explain. Let me explain. All right, give me a second. Hold on. Let me read the story. It says Halle Berry is embracing freedom when it comes to her body. The John Wick Chapter 3 star, who's 56 years old. I didn't know Halle Berry was 56. She shared a photo on Instagram on Saturday as she stood naked on her balcony while sipping out of a wine glass. I do what I want to do. Berry captioned the photo, "Happy Saturday." That just sounds absolutely insane. Let me read that one more time. It says she shared a photo on Instagram as she stood naked on her balcony. You can share naked photos on IG? This entire society that we are living in America, has become extremely over sexualized. Extremely, to the point where we're numb to it. There's literally porn on Instagram. Instagram is supposed to be a place where you just upload pictures of just cool things to look at. Nature, different photography, maybe your family, your friends, your dogs, what you had for breakfast, whatever. But now we've perverted it, we've twisted it so much where there's actually people who are okay with a 56-year-old woman posting a quote-unquote naked photo on Instagram. Now, I understand, and I'm not talking about, when is your heart content? At what point are you going to stop posting these thirst trap photos on Instagram?
All right. So, this was the third video. Whoops, covering up my face. This is the third video today that I watched about where people don't understand what Easter is about. And Easter, you know, another one of them holidays that's supposed to be a Christian holiday, where people blasted with liquor and partying and stuff like that. And here we go again with Christians not being able to have what belongs to them to themselves. You need our Christmas so you can party and get laid. You need our Easter so you can party and get laid. You call them pagan holidays. For what? So you can have them to yourself and leave us out? You know what I'm saying? I can understand other religious groups that don't celebrate them at all calling them pagan holidays. But why are you calling them pagan holidays, atheists, and other groups like Hebrew Israelites? Okay, especially atheists though, because they party on these holidays. They party, get drunk, go out and practice illicit sex and stuff like that on these holidays. Now, in a way, I can understand an atheist, because an atheist loves to to over sexualize and degrade and trample on what belongs to God. They love to do that. It's not enough for them to personally make sure in their own hearts that there is no God, but they have to also destroy, publicly. They have to make a spectacle of these things because they're never content with the idea, okay? Here we go again with me asking the same old question. If Christianity doesn't flood anybody's bathroom, if it doesn't set anybody's house on fire, if it's not poisoning anybody and causing anybody to end up in the hospital, if it's not causing war to come to the United States and blow everything up, and I'm not talking about, don't put us with Muslims, I'm not talking about that garbage. Okay, I'm talking about basic Christianity that millions of people are living. I'm not talking about blowing nothing up. I'm not talking about standing in front of abortion clinics. I'm just talking about simple Christians living their lives, going to church, celebrating their holidays, reading their Bibles, training their kids to grow up and be Christians like them, just like atheists train their kids to grow up and be atheists, okay? Why can't Christians do this without being interrupted? Why? This goes to show you that atheism is a lie. Because if you really, really believed that no God existed, instead of laughing at me, you would feel sorry for me. If you really, really believed that God didn't exist, you would feel sorry for us, until you found out the truth, that is. But you would feel sorry for us instead of laughing and mocking us and making a spectacle out of things that belong to us. Okay? But you want to trample on what belongs to us. You say, oh, well, the Christians, they don't understand. Easter is a pagan holiday. Christmas is a pagan holiday. Then what are you dancing for? What are you celebrating it for? Oh, you can celebrate it because you're pagan. Okay? But you want to judge me for it when it wasn't a pagan person that turned it from Hanukkah to Christmas. It was a Christian who named the American part of the holiday Christmas. And it was a Christian who decided to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ in churches instead of, the other things that entail with the other pagan word for Easter. And it's not called Easter, it's called something else. Just like Christmas is not called Christmas, it's called something else in its original pagan version. But we have totally modified these holidays to fit Christians. And I don't think God is tripping over that. I really don't. Neither do I think the Christian community is tripping over it. Just a handful of people and a lot of religion and a lot of atheists and, you name it. But this is just another case of us not being able to enjoy our own space. We're in a situation now where people constantly invade our space. And this is just a prime example. And why can't Christianity be left alone? Because we're down to the place now where we can't take Bibles out of our homes, except the church. And we've come to the place now to where people can come into our churches and decide what church is all about when church is Christian. Church was created by the apostles in the book of Acts. Church has never been a secular term. Even the founding fathers of this nation did not create the church. The church goes all the way back to Antioch. okay, where the apostles began to build churches everywhere, and even denominations. That all goes all the way back to Antioch, where Paul asked the different churches, or is Paul divided from Apollos? Is Apollos divided from Jesus? And so on and so on and so on. Okay, the church is a Christian term. It doesn't belong to the secular world. I am the church because I am Christian. What does the church have to do with transgenders or drag queens leading services? There are 100 religions out there that support gayism and transgenderism. Why do you have to why do you have to force don't you understand that this is what they did in the Bible? The people that were under Nebuchadnezzar, the people that were under Babylon, and all like that, the people that were under Rome. Don't you know this is what they did? They forced other people to bow to their paganism because they didn't like the idea, and they were afraid that expressing the true God or expressing Jesus Christ, they weren't allowed to worship in that name any longer. So they threatened the apostles and told them, don't worship in that name. Do not speak that name in our regions. Why? Because they feared, okay, because the demons behind all this fear, that name, the name of Jesus, would crash their party. Okay? But again, we keep on with this, okay, so you take Christianity out of schools. Now you're trying to take it out of churches. And still, that's not enough. You have to try to take it out of each person. And you're posting, constantly using social media they're constantly using social media, whoever it is, constantly using social media to show us that there is no true definition of Jesus. There is no true definition of any holiday that belongs to the Christian church. There is no definitions. There we go with that word definition again. The number one thing the atheists, they don't even listen to sound doctrine of anything. They just say, oh, well, what are our atheistic definitions? Whatever the atheistic definitions are, that's what we'll listen to. If a Christian opens his mouth, what are the atheistic definitions about that, regardless of what the definitions are in the dictionary, and regarding what the definitions are in the Christian community or in the Christian dictionary or in the Christian church. Okay? Hold on. What happened here? Am I still on? Let's see here. Yeah, I am. So it doesn't matter what the definitions are in the it doesn't matter what the definitions are in the church that have been with us since the Apostle Paul, that have been with us since Jesus started to walk the earth in the four Gospels. It doesn't matter. It matters whatever you secular people create in the spur of the moment, whatever you secular people create in the spur of the moment and call it, your image that you want everybody to bow down to, whatever that image may be. It doesn't matter years and years, millions of years. Well, I wouldn't say millions, but thousands of years, okay, of Christian dedication. Throw it all away for what? But yet, in the process of throwing it all away, you don't want nobody's allowed to be themselves. Nobody is allowed to be themselves. It's one minute, we got this lonely Christian guy like myself who's a loner. You know what I mean? I haven't even been to church for a while. And I'm all by myself. I'm minding my own business. Okay? And then somebody starts talking about Easter. And I say, no, I don't get to celebrate. I'm celebrating in my heart, but I'm not celebrating by going to church or whatever. And they want to tell me about the Easter bunny. I cannot just be myself and worship my God even in my personal space. Do I get a personal space? They want to take away our personal spaces. I don't get no space. Nothing is mine anymore. I can't be DeRoy Cruz and be a Christian. I have to be, just like I told you about a situation last week where a guy just walked up to me and started teasing me about tongues. And I'm like, okay, are you trying to be funny or what are you doing? And then this other guy screaming in the background, yelling, it ain't true. And I'm like, why don't you calm down? Are y'all asking me a question? Or y'all trying to just it just came out of nowhere, like somebody walking into a school and just shooting everybody. It was just random. I didn't say nothing about Jesus. I didn't say nothing about the gospel. I was just sitting there working on a computer, doing something that has nothing to do with Christianity. And some guy walked in there and said, oh, you go to one of them churches where they... And I went after him for that. Because that was totally ridiculous. If I was preaching the gospel to you and trying to teach you how to speak in tongues, I could understand. But I'm on the computer doing something secular. Has nothing to do with my faith in Christ. But it bothered him that I have a faith in Christ. Because he's mad at me because he claims to be a Jew. He's a fake Jew. He's not a real Jew. Because Jews know their history. Jews know their history better than white people, better than black people, better than anybody. Jews know their history. And so he got caught being a fake Jew. Okay? And I'm talking about a white man. Okay? He gonna sit there and say that smack. And I told him. I explained to him the difference between Egyptian slavery and the Islamic slavery crap, okay? And the difference between Jews and blacks and black Jews, if there is a such thing, and all that. And he knew. And I was in that vein where, brother, just stop. Just stop. Don't pretend to know stuff you don't know nothing about. You don't really care about Jesus. You don't really care about the church. You don't really care about Judaism. You don't really care about Christianity or anything like that. Us Christians study that stuff. So why are you sitting here trying to have a conversation with me that's totally outside your league? He got his feelings all hurt and he went home, and I guess he cried to the devil about it and come back the next day and say, you got one of them churches. And I was like, are you asking me a question? Or are you trying to be funny, or what are you doing? And this is what I told him. He laughed at me and mocked me. I went after him for it. I got him for it too. Because sometimes, some places in the world, people have respect for Christians. Their right to be Christian in their own private spaces. And I told him, I says, have you ever spoken tongues before? Oh, you don't speak in tongues. Okay, then you would not understand what it's like. Just like if you've never been black before, you wouldn't understand what it's like. If you've never been white before, you would not understand what it's like. Okay? And then I told him like this, there's people, and this is the truth, this is what creates atheism right here. I told him this, I says, there are people who actually have the gifts of God. And there's people who imitate what they think is the gift of God. Let me say that again. I told them that there's people who actually, let me check to make sure I'm in my spot here.
1, 2.
Good. I told them, I said, there's people who actually have the gifts of God, and there's people who imitate what they think are the gifts of God. There's a big 100% difference. And I said, a lot of people that you hear speaking in tongues, especially when they think that they can get on YouTube and speak in tongues and teach people how to speak in tongues, that's evidence of fakeness. That's evidence of fake realities, okay? People that actually have the gifts don't like to, flash them. And he just kept on mocking me and mocking me and mocking me. Meanwhile, my other brother is behind me screaming like a daggone child and going off when I'm trying to explain to this guy that a lot of it's not true, And he's back to scream, it ain't true. And I took him to the boss. I said, look, I am a Christian. I am a Republican. But I'm the last one in this building to want to talk about it. I keep it to myself. How dare them come and attack me when I'm not even talking about it? I should be able to talk about it. 20 years ago or less, I was able to talk about it. But I respect the fact that I'm not allowed to talk about it. Why do they get to talk about it? And it ain't even none of their business. It's my personal space, my personal right. And what I can't stand right now about my own country is that everybody with a brain and everybody with a little wee bit of respect for God is being treated like the underclass. We're being treated like thugs. We're being treated like criminals. Meanwhile, you claim that Christmas and Easter are pagan holidays, but you love to get pagan, don't you? Cry me a river. God bless you. I am Delroy Cruz. I am your Life Applications Officer. Thank you for watching.